like this fierce determination on his face.
Yeah.
While he's threatening Dwight. Here he is on his knees in front of Dwight, and he's threatening Dwight. He's like, I get free, I'm going to take you out from behind. You'll never see it coming. You go out like Abraham did, only I'm thinking there won't be as many people out there who give a damn.
Yeah, no, that was pretty awesome.
I loved it. And then like another panel I really liked was the one with Michonne, and she has this tiny smile when Ezekiel was talking to her when he thought she was asleep. And I don't know, I'm just constantly impressed with Adlar's ability to show emotion and to set the mood in the story. And then, of course, we have the different contrast between the spread that's showing the hilltop at night, looking so peaceful, and up against like that 2-page splash of Negan and all the chained up zombies, and just the, how it's so, the contrast is just so stark between the two communities. I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Absolutely.
And your number 3?
Okay. My number 3, there's going to probably be some overlap on some of these things only because of the fact that, as you said, this was a bit of a setup episode. God, again, more of a setup issue. My number 3 was actually the Rick and the blacksmith going over his potential new hand that he may get. Unfortunately, that's also a bit of a, it makes me worried. It's a bit of a harbinger of doom. If Rick's making these kind of plans, we're all worried about Rick's future throughout All Out War, and will he die or will he not? And I'm afraid, oh no, they've given him something to look forward to. He's dead. But of course, what will that be? What might will it be a hook? Will it be a mechanical Army of Darkness hand? Will it be a golden hand on a la Jaime Lannister? Oh, whoops. Spoiler.
Chainsaw,
a chainsaw. We're getting more back into Evil Dead as well. A chainsaw. I don't think it'll be that, but will it be something like a Merle bayonet? I don't know. Whatever it was, that entire exchange between Rick and the blacksmith. What was Sutton? Was that his name?
Yeah, Earl Sutton.
Earl Sutton. Yeah, and he, the fact that Rick brings him lunch, says, "Hey, you've been out here all day." It's kind of like, oh, what a dude. That's just great. I like it. So. And it was one of those smaller moments, again, in these episodes that are transitional that I do tend to enjoy quite a bit. So.
Yeah, and that was actually my number 2, and I called it the teaser of Rick's future stump attachment, because I really felt, like you said, I really felt like it was a teaser and something that's not going to ever pan out. I had this feeling that we're just never going to see what Sutton and Rick could have cooked up, so we shall see.
Yeah, I mean, and it does leave you wondering. I mean, is this just another one of Kirkman's little games that he likes to play with us, where he gets our hopes up but then pulls them away right at the last second? Bastard.
I know, because people love to speculate, and have been speculating since I think Rick lost his hand, probably, about an attachment that what he should have there or whatever.
For sure. Yeah. Okay. My number 2, a bit of an overlap with what was your number 3, was that moment between Ezekiel and Michonne. And as you already pointed out, Michonne's sly little smile as she pretends to be asleep, and Ezekiel's pouring his heart out as a man in his position is wont to do. His lady love is asleep, and that's the easiest time to open up your heart, right? When nobody's actually listening, or you think nobody's listening. But it was very beautiful, simple, small little change in the shape of her whole face. It wasn't even just the smile. I kind of looked at that real close, and I noticed the normal, when she's got that angry scowl on her face, her brow is furrowed. It's kind of tight up in the center of it. And if you look at the panel at the top of the page and then the panel at the bottom, the scowl is the tension, then the scowl's released from her forehead, and that slight smile comes up. And it's a very small, very tender, and very human moment that I've always felt The Walking Dead has done its best work when it is able to capture those human moments. And that was a perfect example of what, in my opinion, is what makes The Walking Dead as great as it is.
I totally agree.
All right.
Okay. So
Your
is
number
my number
one.
one? Jesus is human. I've been saying for a while that I wanted to get some backstory on Jesus to make him feel more relatable and more human. And I didn't really get the backstory, but I was happy for this little small reveal into his character. And Jesus isn't like a super ninja robot hottie like I thought he was.
Well, no. Come on, let's be fair. He is still a super ninja. He's just not a robot.
He still is.
He's just
but
not a robot.
He's not a robot with no need for human contact, after all, And so I just thought this little peek into Jesus's private life was touching, and it made him more relatable and interesting, because as much as, I kind of liked Jesus, but I never found him interesting. And so this just adds a little bit of something to him to make him relatable.
You know what? I considered throwing that reveal on my top 3 as well. It was a great reveal. I mean, I can't say that it wasn't. It was certainly surprising. And it's kind of like, well, what? Okay, fine. And I think because we have so many comments on this in our letters, I kind of opted not to bring that up right now.
Right.
But it's the elephant in the room, right? It really is. I think that was of everything in the issue. This was the one that I think surprised the most people, and it was the one that was the most surprising. And I did have the pleasure of watching Mrs. Blog as she was reading last night, going over the issue, and I was just kind of staring at her, waiting. And I'm looking down at the page, and I saw her go to that page. And then all of a sudden, I see her eyebrows start rising about midway through the page. I'm like, yeah, there it is.
Yeah, it was so cute. I mean, the way he patted the bed next to him, I liked it. It was
that's
good.
cool. I mean, and there was, again, in the letters, we'll get into some of the I don't know, controversy about it, which is not the controversy that some people may be thinking that we're referring to. We'll get there. Keep listening, folks. So,
okay.
My number one for the second week running, or second issue running, Eugene. That whole scene, I know you mentioned it in your number 3, but that whole scene between him and Dwight, and Eugene's just steely resolve that he is going to be tough. And the fact that Dwight then says to him, like, you can stop pretending that you're not about ready to piss your pants. And he just says, I'm not pretending. Oh, I could just feel the anger and the angst in him. And he makes the comment about, I'm still dangerous so long as I have my mouth. It's like, oh, dude, ew. But yeah.
I didn't even catch what that meant.
Oh, you didn't even pick up on that. That was like one of the best.
Catch that.
He's basically saying, look, dude, I've already crunched down on your junk already, and I can do it again. Just give me the opportunity. And in that scene, so I do want to bring up a lot of things happen. Of course, Dwight being heard by Carson, and then Carson mentioning his brother. And in the last episode that we recorded, I was saying, what's up with the people with the name Carson? Why is there Dr. Carson? And then there's Carson. And it didn't even dawn on me. It didn't even dawn on me that, oh my God, Negan and these people are like a bunch of PE coaches from high school. They're like the basketball coaches, right? He's like a high school football coach who refers to everybody by their last freaking name. And Carson is probably just his last name. So they probably are brothers, because Carson mentions wanting to see his brother again. And I love that. I don't think we've ever really had siblings in 2 separate groups that may be able to come together, or one of them's going to die and the other one will cry. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what what's going to happen? But I still have to give my number 1 to Eugene, because that steely resolve of him and threatening to bite another man's junk is just wow. Wow.
Well, I think he deserves that position. I like it.
So, second episode running, Eugene gets my number 1. Do you have any other notes that you want to bring up about this issue?
Yeah, there were. I didn't really write down any notes. I felt so much of the stuff was, in the letter, mentioned in the letters. But do you have any notes?
Well, I mean, I did enjoy the exchange between Brianna and Maggie, establishing Maggie's position as leader of the Hilltop. I thought that was good to get it from the perspective, not just of somebody saying, yeah, I guess I'm the leader, or you're the leader, but somebody from that group saying, no, you did this. We are now following you. Just establish it, make it clear. I like that.
Yeah.
I did like the very sweet moments between Rick and Andrea. The fact that Andrea called him honey, which I thought was really quite sweet.
And she didn't wake him up when her shift was
Yeah,
over.
it was all very cute and very, again, very real, very human,
Very feely.
very
Yeah.
feely, and of course that just God puts another target right on Rick's head, in my opinion. But I mean, it could be Andrea. I am at the point where I'm beginning to not really even speculate or think about any predictions about who's going to die, but I'm having this fear that no, one of the main characters is going. You know, somebody has to go, and it's not just going to be Negan. It's going to be somebody we care about. And for as bold as my predictions about Rick's death have been, and as much as it sounds like I'm like, yeah, Rick's going to die, woo! I I don't want him to die. I really don't. The more I've been thinking about it and sitting on it, I'm like, oh, I spent a lot of time with this guy. You know, I care about this guy. I don't want him to die.
Yeah.
That sucks, man. Maybe I've been too flip about that, you know. But all that's going to do is, if that does happen, it's going to be a really rough. It'll be a rough time when that happens. That'll be a little brutal. And I got to say, I'm kind of impressed that not one of our top three had anything to do with Negan, even though he was there and he was a bit of a badass. And it's kind of scary about what's going to happen. Rick can't get all these people out of the way in time before they attack, and they're about ready to attack way before they're prepared. So
again,
and we only have 4 issues left.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's only 4 issues left of All Out War. So I mean,
I think it's going to be pretty fast paced from here on out.
I think so. So I'm excited. So when issue 123 comes, this is going to be a big deal.
Yes, I think so. I'm excited too.
Do you have any predictions on what might happen, or do you want to just let that lie right now?
I think I'm going to let it lie. Because, you know, as you're talking about Rick and I've been feeling that he's going to die, I feel like the more we talk about it and the bigger the target gets, I'm like, well, maybe he's not going to die after all. So I am just like in this little bundle of confusion right now. I don't really have predictions right now. I don't feel as confident.
Yeah. Well, I'm here for you. We're gonna have to have a support group when All Out War is over, I think. And
I think so.
Yeah. So we have a very special little treat now. We had the opportunity this last weekend to speak with David S.E. Zapanta, the author of Posthumous, a wonderful zombie novel. We met him at Walker Stalker Con, and I purchased his book. I read it on half of it on the plane ride back to California, and I really liked his book. So I thought for our first interview, I really wanted to talk with him. And so we did. And I hope you enjoy the interview. Joining us today, we have with us David S.E. Zapanta, the author of Posthumous, the novel, book 1 of the Kadabra Raza series, as well as the creator of Hairbat, the comic, self-described depression enthusiast, and my favorite, the Melancholy Greetings, which are some fantastic greeting cards. So welcome to Under the Cover. I always do this. Welcome to Under the Comic Covers, David.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.
First of all, let's go ahead and get into how you got started with Hairbat to begin with, and then how Melancholy Greetings happened. There seemed to be a bit of a timeline here with one, then the other, and then into the novel. Could you walk us through that process?
Yeah, sure. I started Hairbat when I was 23. I was at Rhode Island School of Design, and it actually started as an assignment for a comic book class there. And I would say probably out of everyone in the class, my project, which was Hairbat, was probably one of the more ambitious ones. And so people kept saying to me, including the professor, they kept saying, you should really do this beyond the class. But,
cool.
But I was only thinking, 20 pages at a time. And so I thought, could I do this? Is this something that I could, conceivably, do as an ongoing series? And, I tried to go the traditional route, sent it to publishers. And at the time, no one was interested because I don't think they understood what it was that I was trying to do with it. It was really supposed to be a satire, like a Batman satire. And there were a lot of comics.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and there were a lot of comics like that at the time. There was really a proliferation of parody comics. And I think that people couldn't see beyond that, and fair enough and everything. So I decided ultimately to publish it myself under Screaming
Okay,
Race.
and just to clarify, you wrote it and did all the artwork as well.
Yeah, I did everything. I wrote it, I drew it, and I published it, and I handled the distribution. I worked with everything that you would do with that, any kind of self promotion. I did tours, I did shows and signings and things like that. And it was pretty exciting, especially because like pre-internet days, any kind of success you had, it was hard-won success. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing about Hairbat is I feel like there are some similarities to Posthumous in the sense that it kind of defies it defies like the genre that it's supposed to be part of. And I think that
Sure.
if you can't pigeonhole something, you can't promote it very easily. And I think with Hairbat, people really didn't know what to make of it because there was such a personal edge to it, And that was one of the funny things about it. As I did Hairbat, I didn't realize that I was airing my dirty laundry the way I was.
Oh.
And once I did, I was kind of mortified, actually, to be honest with you. The greeting cards are the same thing, basically. It's just kind of like therapy in an envelope, kind of. It's when I first started these greeting cards, well, first getting back to Hairbat, I thought at the time, Hairbat was like this really, speaking for myself, like this really grand idea, like this amazing creative thing that came out of the blue. And as a creative person, you never really know where your next quote unquote big idea is going to come from. And I felt very fortunate that I had one, which was Hairbat. And then
that's more than so many of us ever have sometimes. Is that one? And so that's a wonderful feeling.
I think it's just a matter of patience, because I think everyone's got that big idea in them. It's just a matter of you never know what you might have already had it. You don't know, and it's just a matter of kind of paying attention to those weird little details and thinking, wait a second, and doubling back, because the greeting cards were like that. The way they started was kind of a weird thing because, I'd be sitting in these, I work in a corporate office. That's my day job. And I'd be sitting in meetings, doodling in the margins of spreadsheets, in these 2 or 3 hour meetings. And to keep my sanity, I would draw in the margins. But at the end of the meeting, I would just throw everything away. I would throw it in the trash. And this one person in a meeting said to me finally, if you're going to throw that away, can I have it? Can I keep that? And I thought that was surprising to me that she was assigning a value to what I considered doodles. And so And so I thought, this is kind of interesting. And so I actually started writing little captions to go with the drawings. And the first one was so sad, was did not marry his true love. And I thought, wow, I know, it's heartbreaking. And then,
now,
yeah.
I'm sorry, just to interject real quick. Now, Grace and I, we did meet you at Walker Stalker Con in Atlanta back in November. And Grace, I know you got some of the Melancholy greeting cards, right?
I did. And you know what? I cannot give them away because I love them so much. They're so adorable and sad. And, I got 3 zombie ones. You have things other than zombies, but all 3 of the ones I got were zombies. And they have these big soulful eyes and, these little sad captions. And I love them. And I can't give them away. I think I might need to frame them.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate you saying that. The funny thing about these cards, even the zombie cards, is that I try to be as honest as possible in them. And I from hearing what you were saying, Grace, about their eyes, I feel like I put a lot of thought into that kind of stuff, and sometimes I'll have a drawing but no caption for it for like a year or two, and then finally when it comes to me, I go, oh, thank God, and hope for the best. And so to hear you say that it means a lot to me.
I should have bought more next time. Are you coming to Walker Stalkers again?
Yes, I will be there in Atlanta in October for sure. 100%.
Oh,
yes.
Great. Awesome. Yes, well, we will be there.
Absolutely.
So the funny thing about the cards, though, I just want to say before I forget, because I forget things so quickly. I'm sorry. Is that it was those zombie cards. They predate the book. They predate Posthumous. And when I saw this kind of weird existential approach to zombies, like in my head I called it despair of the dead. I thought, this could be a book. This kind of weird vibe, the idea that the undead could be so unhappy or dissatisfied
That's
with
wonderful.
death. Yeah.
So the creation of Posthumous then was very much informed by your previous experience with Melancholy Greetings and creating those cards.
Yes.
Wow.
That's
fantastic,
interesting because I had wondered how you got the idea to have these zombies that are so different than the stereotypical zombies that we know. I mean, you have these zombies that can feel deep emotion and love and are more like their they're friends with heartbeats than they're different. And so it's very, very interesting to see how this came to be from the cards. That's neat.
Before we kick into getting too deep into Posthumous, let's go ahead and give this a bit of an introduction here for those people who are new to the book.
Okay.
And I would very much like to hear. I remember when I did meet you the first night, you gave me the basic layout of how you would describe the book to somebody who hasn't read it. And go ahead and take it away, because I think you say it better than anybody else could.
Well, it's funny. At the Walker Stalker Con, I tried out a few different ways of presenting the book because, I almost didn't do Walker Stalker Con because, people have, and I don't mean this the way it's going to sound, but people do have preconceived notions of what zombies should be, and rightfully so.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the more contentious issues surrounding zombie lore, if you will, is fast zombies, slow zombies, thinking zombies, unthinking zombies. I mean, people get into genuine arguments over these things, so you have to be careful. And you did decide to throw a very large and very specific monkey wrench into that argument, and I appreciated it so much. So continue, please.
Yeah, I felt like at the time it was kind of a risky approach to the genre, but I mean, and I'm going to be very honest here about why I started this book. I started it back in 2009, and, I was going to the doctor a lot, and I was worried about my health. My second kid was on the way, and, I just felt like I want to take care of myself. And I started, and plus I was hitting, 40, and I was thinking about just mortality in general. And so that was the genesis of the book. That and the idea of, how would a theater full of zombies react to a George Romero movie? Would they see it as farce? Would they see it as, comedy? Would they be offended by it? And I thought that's a really weird idea. And also, I thought about Thriller, Michael Jackson's Thriller video, and I thought, what if those were real zombies in that? What if they were gainfully employed for that particular project, and then, they went on to do other things within the Hollywood studio system, and I thought those two ideas together are really weird, and I want to do something with that. That's kind of what informed it, that and the greeting card sensibility. I brought those things together and blended them, and I got really lucky, I think.
It is a very unusual book, and as I've told you before, and I did write a review of the book. So if anybody's interested in hearing a more detailed review, you can go to MrBlog.com, look up Posthumous by David S.E. Zapanta. My review is there. And what did strike me so much is how you used zombies and as a fill-in and as an analog for so many different social issues. Whether it be unemployment, whether it be immigration, whether it be homophobia, whether it's, like you said, would a zombie movie be offensive? And I do love how you made, zombie video games are considered exploitation.
Yeah.
And any zombie movie would be exploitation. And I loved that concept. It was just so unusual. So just to try to give the listener an idea of what this book is about, it's essentially follows three main storylines, giving you three radically different feels. And I felt the one storyline, Barnabas Hardy, which was almost the heart for me of the book, was more of a noir sort of story. Is that correct?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, and then we got Damon, who was the actor working in New Hollywood. A little more farce, a little more comedy in there, and the third one being George Gleason, a bit of a right wing, anti-immigrant, anti-zombie sort of fellow.
Right.
You include those arcs in this remarkably well filled out and detailed universe, and you did a great deal of world building, and I would love to hear how you came about creating that world and how you fleshed it out as well as you did.
Well, that's a good question because, they say that a writer should know what their characters eat for breakfast, that kind of thing. I took that approach to the world of Posthumous itself, and I thought, what would undead products be like? What kind of cosmetic products would zombies use, for instance? What would their magazines be like? What would their reality shows be like? What would their music even be like? That sort of thing, and just take it to its full conclusion, and try to I believe that you find verisimilitude in the details like that, and if I don't believe it, no one else is going to believe it.
I think that's part of what made the book so fun is everything in the world that like you said, like the products and.
But see, that's the thing. I wanted to have fun with it, and I wanted the readers to have fun with it also. I wanted them to think, he really thought this through. There's so much here. You don't want to just, like think you're like, it's like watching a play. That the reverse of that set is just plywood or something. And I didn't want people to ever feel that way, that if you went beyond the edges, there was nothing there. Because to me, it goes so far beyond even what's in the book. I've written so much more. I even drew a map for myself for this.
Oh, I mean, you would have to. As I was reading it, there were a number of points where I started to think, should I be taking notes? There's so many characters and there's so many. And again, it took me a while to even kind of suss out those three individual storylines to understand where I was going. It was just so rich, and I will also say that you did it in a way that didn't rely on exposition. You allowed the story, allowed this world to unfold almost in a need to know basis sort of a thing. And I'll admit I was a little confused at the beginning as to what is going on here. What is it? This and that. But after a while, it just began to flesh out and feel so much more full and real than if it had just been a turn into as an aside and breaking the fourth wall and explaining. I hate exposition like that, and you at no point did that. Many times to my frustration, but it was great. But in the end, it paid out. I really enjoyed the way it laid out.
Well, the funny thing is, one of the things that kind of holds this particular world together is the idea of body counting, body counts. And that's what fuels the shaman's magic. The more bodies they have, the more powerful their magic is, and the better their preservative powers over their undead charges, But that was a foreign concept to me because that was never baked into the original story. And when I thought of it, I went, oh man, that makes so much more sense now. It's like the glue that holds the whole world together in a way, And
I guess we should interject real quick to explain how your zombies operate.
That's true. We probably should.
Yeah, we should probably. They don't know what you're talking about with the shamans and the talismans. So go ahead and explain how the zombies in your world work.
Yes, that's that. Okay, so basically, in this world, you choose to come back as a zombie. You don't even really use the word zombies in this world. It's kind of a 4-letter word. You're not supposed to do that. You say undead, you say reanimated, you even say living challenged, But so it's like a lifestyle choice. You decide, okay, you have 3 choices. You could come back, as a zombie. And it's seen as the ultimate second chance if you do. That's where the name of the series comes from. Kadabra Raza is basically the ultimate second chance. And then you could be those are resurrectionists. Or you could be,
and the tagline being "Death is only the beginning," right?
Right. Yes, death is only the beginning. Right. That's right. You're selling this much better than I am.
I liked the book. I really did.
Well, I thought your review of it was really pretty amazing, and the fact that you sussed out certain things, gave me hope that I did the right thing and that I'm doing the right thing with book 2. But so resurrectionist. That's one. You could be
Yeah.
a cremationist, which is exactly what it sounds like. But the difference here being that there's this huge crematorium that powers powers North America, and it powers it by cremating bodies. So to do that, to be immolated, as it were, it's seen as very patriotic, and so that's George Gleason. He's a patriot, and he fought in the war, and then so the last one is, I mean, there are other subtleties to all of these three main ones, but the last one being, you could be a burialist, and those are more traditional, practical people. They just want to be 6 feet under, call it a day. I mean, they do, of course, run the risk of being reanimated against their will, but that's why cremationists, they say, just burn me. I don't want any chance of coming back at all.
And you mentioned the living, or you mentioned North America, but it should also be noted that this is not the North America or the United States that we recognize today. It is divided between the living states and
the havens. So you
you
have this huge border wall that kind of runs down the center of California, or what's now known as New Cali, but it's known as Burley Gate, and it's about 500 miles long, about 300 feet high. It's made of granite, and it's and behind that wall, west of the wall, is the havens, which is like an undead territory, and that's kind of, to say governed, it's governed by a shaman known as Solomon. And he's kind of like the big bad. If you think about Star Wars, he's kind of like the emperor, And in the first book, you hear a lot about him, but you never really see him. Although that's different. I'll just say in book 2, he's definitely in book 2.
Oh, nice little tease. Nice little tease.
Yeah, he's in it. It's not a wasted throwaway kind of scene with him. It's pretty heavy duty stuff with him, for sure. And
Fantastic.
I won't say any more about it.
Great. No, don't spoil anything. It's and this is the thing, even when I was writing my review of this, I was very conscious of not wanting to spoil it, not just because I didn't want to spoil something, but because I wanted others to be able to experience reading it the way that I read it, which was, again, as I was saying, that ability to just read and have that discovery open up to you slowly and as you intended it. And it worked very well, and that's a wonderful thing, and you did a great job with that. So, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to be so sycophantic here, or kissing your ass in any way. It's just I enjoyed the book, simple as that.
No, I really appreciate it. I mean, I worked on it for 4 years, and in some ways, you, as a writer, you work in a vacuum, and you honestly don't know if what you're doing makes any sense. And of course, I had beta readers, but until that point, I really felt I was going out on a limb, because it was so different from what people's preconceived notions are based on, whether it's Walking Dead or, like I said, Romero films or whatever it is. And I do think that it's still a gamble, and I feel very lucky and fortunate that someone like you or Grace read it and appreciated what I was trying to do there. I think that it is going above and beyond the zombie genre. It's really trying to be, it has a bigger message, not to sound highfalutin about it or anything. I just do feel like, the zombie genre is the perfect vehicle for allegory, You could really, it does so much heavy lifting if you let it.
And you found, I think, every allegory there, and made it believable. And it's funny because your zombies are pretty disgusting, some of them. And there's some parts where one of the characters gets pretty disgusted by a zombie, and I feel for him. I'm like, yeah, they're disgusting, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a necrophobe. Which is not, that's not a good thing in that world. And I was like, oh no, I'm a bigot. But, so it's fun. Are you working on the second book now?
That's also a good question. And I will tell you that I am about 40,000 words into it. And to put that into context, book 1 was 82,000 words. So I'm roughly around what I would consider halfway. That's not to say I've only written the first 20 chapters. I've written chapters throughout the entire length of the book. I'm just kind of trying to connect the dots now. And
okay.
And I will say that some minor characters from book 1 come back, some of them in a much bigger way for book 2. And I think
wonderful.
I'm really trying to But now the problem is that, instead of 3 main storylines, I have 4, maybe 5. I actually scaled some of it back because I felt it was too much, and I couldn't expect people to keep track of everything.
So
But
you're not going to do the zombie Game of Thrones where there's 1,000 different characters and 47 different plot lines going.
it might be that way by book 3, but I doubt it. No, I mean, the thing too is that zombies in this book have such similar names. It's the same thing with the Lannisters. They have very similar names.
Yeah, absolutely.
They do.
Well, when I picked up the book and I was reading it the first time through, I mean, it's a tease when it says book 1 of the Kadabra Raza series, and yet nowhere in there did it tell you about what to expect. And I did have to ask you, like, okay, how many more of these are there going to be? And so go ahead. I mean, is that information that you're willing to share?
Oh, yeah,
about how
sure.
many more of these?
There are going to be 3 for sure. In this particular
trilogy,
series.
So.
Yeah, it's a classic trilogy, and then there will be...
Wonderful.
At this point, I'm considering a trilogy, and I can say that it's about George Gleason. And the prequel is about George Gleason, and it would take place during the war. Because, yeah. So he was a
That would be interesting
POW.
to get some of the history of it.
Yeah. And I've started writing bits of that, too. And the funny thing is, when I was writing book 1, I was writing books 2 and 3 at the same time because I wanted there to be more of a connection. I want to have, Easter eggs in book 1 for the other 2 books. And so now as I'm even writing book 2, I'm still writing book 3 a little bit. And now I'm starting to take notes for the prequel as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, Grace, do you have any other questions you want to ask?
No, I'm good. I thought this was great.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no. Thank you so much for coming on. It's such an honor to have you with us for this, our first interview. It's fantastic. And thank you for being so patient. Just so the listeners know, yesterday we were supposed to interview David, and my computer completely crapped out. I had all sorts of technical problems on my end, and David is an absolute gentleman and a scholar for being so patient with us and my horrible unprofessionalism in getting this together. But we got it together. Thank you so much for joining us and chatting to us about Posthumous.
You're very welcome.
Where can people find the book?
They can find it in a few places. It's available as an ebook and, as paperback. As an ebook, you can find it, on bn.com or Amazon or iTunes, even on Kobo, the Kobo marketplace. And the paperback you can get through, again, bn.com or Amazon, or even through my Etsy shop, which is just etsy.com/melancholy greetings. And the one other website they can check out where all of this stuff is posthumous.thebook.com.
I'll make sure we get a link to that when we post the podcast.
That's great. Thank you.
And should we tell them about the contest?
Yes, please.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, David has been kind enough to offer up a signed copy of Posthumous, book 1 of the Kadabra Raza series, as a contest winning. So in this episode, Grace and I are going to eventually get around to figuring out exactly what that contest will be. It'll probably have something to do with our Facebook page, which you may or may not know about already. And stay tuned for that. Thank you very much for joining us, David.
It was my pleasure.
Thank you, David.
You're very welcome.
Well, all right. I hope you guys enjoyed that. We most certainly enjoyed talking with David. Thank you so much, David, for speaking with us. That was a lot of fun.
Thank you, David.
All right. Let's move on to listeners' moans, groans, and grunts. Okay, our first letter is from Koibito. The unbelievably cute Jesus scene. It was, in my opinion, the best part in a very content-filled issue. Good content at that. But my question is, did you expect Jesus' very sudden reveal? Did you like how the scene went? And, well, one more. Only because his scene stood out to me. Did you like Dwight this issue? I myself loved how calm and collected he started out in his and Eugene's conversation. And man, Adlard's skill at drawing expressions really shines when you see Dwight. And that's a guy that only really has half a face to emote with. I really, really hope Kirkman does not kill him off, at least not in this arc. He is a great design as well as a genuinely interesting character. Koibito, away! Put a little twist on that one for you, Koibito.
Well, I have to say, I did not expect the sudden reveal whatsoever.
No, not at all.
I don't think anybody did.
I didn't think Jesus had a dick, but that's a whole other thing.
I never questioned that fact. His chest.
Okay,
is too
fair
nice
enough. Nah, I just didn't look at him that way. I don't know, for whatever reason. Do I like Dwight this issue? Yeah, very much so. I mentioned the Eugene scene, but we didn't really go into Dwight, who. Yeah, I don't know. I still don't know. Is he double agenting everybody? Is he a triple agent? I mean, is Carson going to rat him? I mean, I don't know. I do believe Dwight at this time that he is genuine. I want to believe.
Well, I mean, my feeling is, how could he not want Negan dead?
Yeah.
After what he's done to him. So I agree. I feel I think that Dwight is genuine. So. And I like that scene as well.
Well, as always, thank you for the letter, Koibito.
Thank you. Okay, our next letter is from Pickles. I wanted to write about how I felt about the very popular topic this week of Jesus' sexuality. A lot of people have been called homophobes when they spoke against it on internet forums, but I don't think that Jesus being a homosexual is the issue with the whole thing. The problem is this reveal is so random that it makes me think that Kirkman just came up with it out of the blue. Jesus has always been the type of guy who was like a Jedi, detached from that sort of thing, giving all that he had to whatever cause he was in. And then he just isn't anymore. It's not like he's coming out of his shell, because it seemed like this had been happening for a while. But then again, he said that all he had at the hilltop was books. This further reinforces that I don't think Kirkman had been planning it. This makes me feel like his whole character continuity is wrong. The twist just felt cheap. The whole revealing gay characters casually was great with Aaron and Eric, but it felt unplanned and stupid this time around. Like I said, I can't even imagine him being with a girl because of that Jedi aura around him, but you can't reveal something that was apparently already happening at the hilltop, him and Alex, as character development. It left me cheated and confused. I don't care that he's gay, but this was cheap. I've used that word a lot in this, haven't I? What do you think about the whole thing? Did you like it? Did you like how it was introduced? Thanks for reading. Pickles 312. Okay, thank you, Pickles.
Yeah, thanks, Pickles. I've been reading that the last couple days as well. I know that is, I can see where you're coming from with it, quite honestly, that Kirkman seemed to maybe feel like there needed to be a quota filled, or because Aaron and Eric made the comment that that Aaron made the comment that they were the last two gay couples alive, that he had to feel like, no, there's somebody else here. I can see that. And the point about Jesus specifically saying that all he had back at the hilltop were a bunch of books. Yeah, that's kind of the, like, if he was going to be in a relationship, he seems like a really decent enough guy that he would actually put a little more stock in a relationship than just saying, I got nothing. Unless he's just.
But really, was it the right time to go into all that either? I don't know. I mean, when I first thought about it, I was like, ouch, poor Alex. That's pretty rough when I thought back to that comment that he made.
Yeah. And it does.
But really, is that the time you get into it? I don't know.
Talking about projections and setting us up for believing, a misdirection and that kind of thing. At this point, it becomes like, oh, is Alex going to be zombie fodder or Negan fodder to die, and then for a future setup between him and Aaron? Yeah, I don't know. Was it there just for shock value? Was it there? I mean, I don't know. I like it personally. I think good. As we talked about before, Jesus is humanized in a certain way, and maybe this is just the beginning of Jesus becoming a more fully realized character beyond just his super mad awesome ninja skills. So I don't know. Let's wait it out, see how it goes, right? Maybe Rick will have a change of heart and ditch Andrea and go for Jesus. Who knows? Okay, I gotta say this. I do wonder too whether or not Kirkman just got a kick out of the fact that now people are going to be running around saying Jesus is gay. Is
Probably.
he just trolling everybody just to get us, like, just to piss off a certain segment of society? I don't know, maybe. Because it feels kind of wrong saying that statement. Like, oh my God, somebody's gonna get really mad if I say Jesus is gay, but that's not who I mean. The other Jesus, Paul Monroe, and actually he called him Paul, didn't he? Alex.
He did.
Alex called him Paul, which was kind of sweet and a nice reminder that, look, he has a name. He's not Jesus. Okay, next letter from Kirk. Overall, a solid issue. A short calm to develop some characters and set up the next big confrontation. Bio-zombified weapons? Ha! Nice twist. A little dangerous because of the increased chance of it backfiring and infecting the user, but still a neat idea and one that is outside of the box. I like that. The opening scene with Eugene and Dwight was tight. Eugene is becoming a pretty solid badass, which is a little hard to believe, but still fun to read. I particularly like that as Negan is closing in on a win of this war, he is unknowingly fracturing from the inside. The big question is, who will be the one to punch Negan's ticket at the end of this story? Rick? Ezekiel? Dwight? My hope is that it's Maggie. I would like to see her get to have a little justice for what Negan did to Glenn. I like that Maggie is becoming the leader of Hilltop. I don't care for the Brianna character. It seems like she's always judging Maggie and giving her a hard time. What's up with Olivia getting all inappropriate and insensitive with Rosita? That lady creeps me out. Sorry. I like that. And Jesus is gay? Didn't see that coming. Glad, though, that Kirkman goes to great lengths to constantly diversify the cast of this book. I think that's very true to real life and adds to the book's authenticity. Cannot wait to see what the Metalsmith dude creates for Rick Stubb. Could be very cool. Maybe have some interchangeable parts with tools and weapons. That would rock. Okay, suddenly I got an image of like Rick with a Dremel on the end of his stump. Like this is the grinder, this is the router, this is the saw. Okay, sorry. Back to the letter. Not sure I agree that consolidating all the communities is the best idea. Loved the art of the big double-page spread with all the Hilltop people streaming in through the gates. I'm glad, though, to see Rick come up with a backup plan. That was something they were severely lacking at the prison. Nice to see that the character learned his lesson. Good cliffhanger at the end, although it wasn't that big of a surprise after Rick's speech the page before. You kind of knew that Negan was attacking earlier that was going to happen. Best, Kirk. Whew.
Thanks, Kirk.
Thanks, Kirk. Man, that's a lot of stuff to take in. I mean, we probably could have stopped it midway through, but then it would have taken us about 30 minutes to get through this one. Let's go ahead and just real quickly hit some of these points. Bio-zombified weapons. We haven't touched on that at all yet. What do you think about that plan, Grace?
I don't think it was interesting to read about, but I don't think it's going to work. And I think if it does work, Kirkman's going to have a really pissed off community here, because if it works, why hasn't there been more people turning with, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, I thought about that too, in the fact that, like, okay, Michonne, she's run around and then she'll chop off a zombie head and this and that, so she's got that gunk all over her sword before. But I guess then she doesn't, if she uses it on somebody else, it's pretty much always been fatal, so we don't know the outcome of that. Same thing with Lucille. Lucille's got a bunch of the zombie gunk on it all constantly, I'd imagine. And the only time we've actually really seen it in use has been on Glenn. So we didn't have the chance to see whether or not that would work on him either. Bioweapons. This is the first time we've seen biological warfare in The Walking Dead. So that is interesting. Eugene and Dwight was tight. I agree. Negan closing in on a win. Brianna, yeah.
Oh, yes, sorry.
No,
I was going to say, I like Brianna. I think she just tells it like it is.
I kind of like Brianna
Maggie.
too. I honestly do. I think
she's
Maggie
supportive in her own way.
Yeah, Maggie needs a friend. Give Maggie a friend. There's nothing wrong with that. And she is supportive in her own way. I mean, she was basically saying like, "No, shut up, Maggie. Stop your self-doubt. You're the leader." I liked it. Olivia getting all inappropriate and insensitive with Rosita. I don't know. Was she that inappropriate? I mean, she's just maybe.
I think she was just trying to make her laugh, but Rosita wasn't having any of it.
Yeah. And then when it was kind of funny, I misread. I think I put a comma where a comma didn't actually exist. That when Olivia makes the comment of like, you know, that she's God, what's the exact sentence? I need to look this up here. It's right here. Hell, I do all right. When I read that, it says, "This in high school, you're not less cool for liking the fat guy." Hell, I do all right. I honestly read that as hell, I do all right. I read it as like she was saying, no, she likes the fat guy. She liked Eugene. I threw a comma in there, and
Oh, okay.
you know, as somebody who does do some writing, I gotta say, the importance of where a comma is really makes a difference. Because I went back and I reread it. I'm like, she does all right. Well, who is she banging? Now that's what I want to know. Who is she banging, man?
No, but it's kind of nice to know that Olivia gets laid. I like it.
Absolutely, man. She's kind of got the skirt thing going. I don't know. She creeps you out.
And of course,
like
she's the one with the food, so maybe.
Oh, that's true. Oh my god. Favors for
Sorry,
food.
Olivia. That
Favors
wasn't
for
very
food.
kind.
Okay, then I do. Okay, this is going to sound terrible. But I was thinking about this the other day, and specifically about the TV show. I was looking at now that Abraham and Eugene have been introduced to the TV show. I think they're maybe two of the first somewhat heavier set people we've seen on the show. And now I'm thinking about Olivia, and I'm thinking about Eugene in the comic. And of course, Eugene has mentioned that he's been losing weight. And all I keep thinking is, everybody's starving. How are you guys still heavy? How is that happening?
Well, yeah, they brought it up in the comic too before, I guess.
Yeah, they have with Eugene. So even when I don't know, sorry. So
You know what? I still think Eugene's trimming down a bit.
he is trimming down, and they've made mention of that, but they've made mention of it in terms of now that he's been trying to kind of do something more with himself. He's taking better care of himself. And what I'm saying is, it doesn't matter at this point whether you're taking better care of yourself or not. There's a baseline minimum food all these people are eating. I'm sorry, we're way off on a tangent on this. Let's move on here. Jesus being gay, we've already covered that. Rick Stubb, I think we covered that as well. As far as consolidating the communities, you're right. It probably is not the best idea, and I think that's why Rick wants to try to split the group up. Unfortunately, they may not have a chance. So
Yeah, and he had that backup plan, which is all well and good, but he didn't have the time to get anybody there. So
Yeah. Yeah. So let's move on. Thank you very much, Kirk.
Okay.
Great letter.
Thank you, Kirk. The next one is from Jack McCary. What's up, guys? Just two quick questions. What do you guys think of a possible Aaron-Jesus relationship? The way I see it, if they both make it out of all-out war, they get to know each other pretty well on the road, and with a assumedly smaller cast, who knows? Okay. And also, I'm guessing you're going to get this a number of times, but do you think Negan's zombie goo weapons are going to work? Personally, if this works, I think it's going to be the worst sequence of events in the book's history. It's completely ridiculous to think that this goo wouldn't have killed someone already. Jack. Well, I guess we touched on both of those things, but I agree about the goo.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to be the worst thing in the book's history. I guess this is a slight prediction, but I have a bad feeling that it will work, and it's going to probably work on one of our main characters dying. I don't know. The fact that he's introduced it, something about this idea makes me kind of icky in the belly. That I'm like, it's going to work on the one person we care about. I just don't know which one person that's going to be. Okay, let's move on. Thank you, Jack. That was great.
Thank you.
Next letter is off Twitter, as from @Nerdro. I thought it was great. Dwight looks fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to see what happens next with him. My problem is this. Are we to believe that the Saviors had till now been disinfecting their weapons? I mean, wouldn't their weapons already be contaminated by all the zombies they'd brained in the past? Maybe fresh is best? I don't think his plan is going to work. It's a good idea, but he's a psychopath. I think you need direct transmission. Otherwise, just getting splattered in the face with Zegor would mean infection, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And another thing, I mean, are they planning to do a lot of hand-to-hand combat? I mean, what happened to all their? Did they use up all their grenades? And
I think they're talking about arrows and bullets and knives. I mean, I think they are planning a bunch of hand to hand. I don't know. Maybe it's.
I don't know. It's interesting.
All right.
Okay, well, let's move on to our last email. This is from Mark Spiak. I love what Mr. B said last week about how we love our monsters and even make a hero out of our monsters. After hearing Carson talk to Dwight about him being with him and thinking others would be too, it really got me thinking about Negan and the governor and the differences between these two monsters. The governor was more of a monster behind the scenes than in your face, the way Negan is. The governor wanted to be liked by all and was able to manipulate the Woodbury residents into believing Rick and his group were the monsters. Negan is 100% in your face dictator. If he wants your wife, he has her. And if you have a problem with that, then you get the hot iron. This whole time, I thought the same thing Eugene did about Dwight. If he's against Negan, then why doesn't he do something about it and end it? I thought he was just playing both sides of the fence. But this issue, I saw the conviction in Dwight's eyes. I did have to suspend my disbelief a little with this issue. Why were all of those people from the kingdom not fighting this whole time? Also, why didn't Negan ever attack the kingdom? Maybe I just missed something along the way or in my first read through of the comic. P.S. What? Jesus is gay? Am I the only one that wants to see him with Aaron? Don't get bit, Mark.
No, you are not the only one who wants to see him with Aaron. I think a lot of people do. I gotta say, I really like what you had to say about the way you analyze the differences between Negan's dictatorial style versus the governor's more secretive public persona versus the real persona. That's a very astute observation, and I like it because you're right. These are two very different styles of leadership, and I'm making air quotes when I'm saying leadership. That have their pluses and minuses, and there is a certain benefit, I think one can say, of being an outright dictator versus the more secretive, subversive form that the governor was taking. But then again, you get internal plots that want to kill you when you are an outright dictator. So I don't know. I like the way you were looking at that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Very neat comparison.
Yeah, that was good. And as far as Eugene and Dwight, yeah, and I don't know where Dwight's loyalty stands. I mean, I'm at the point where I'm taking him at his word that what he's saying is genuine, that he really is against Negan and with Rick, but time will tell.
Yeah, and I think Dwight's comment, I think that was kind of Kirkman answering some of the readers' thoughts, about, and he was giving an explanation I can't talk, explanation about why he hadn't just taken Negan out before. So that was pretty interesting.
For sure. I mean, it makes sense. He's right. I mean, if he believes that other people are so behind Negan that they'll just take him out you're talking about assassinating your leader. That's not to be taken lightly, and I can understand Dwight's fear. I mean, he had his face ironed. Have you had your face ironed? I haven't.
Negan is a scary guy.
He is a scary guy. And I'm beginning to believe more and more that he was just a football coach in high school. Or a high school football coach is what I mean. Or basketball. I had bad experiences with my basketball coach. He never ironed my face, but I didn't like that guy.
As far as the kingdom people, I was actually quite surprised that there were at least 3 busloads of people coming off there.
I know. I thought there were 5 people. I thought there were 5 people left in the kingdom. Suddenly it's a field trip showing up at the hilltop.
I mean, I guess I knew it was large, but I think I just had forgotten about it. I don't think it was unusual that Negan didn't attack there, because I don't think in the beginning that he had any reason to believe that Ezekiel and the kingdom were in on Rick's little plan. So that didn't surprise me, but I guess I just had forgotten about their numbers.
Before we move on, I need to just mention one thing. I'm noticing as I have that page still open with Olivia and the Rosita page, it's splayed open on my desk right there, and I'm looking at the Jesus page with the big reveal, and I realized Jesus was reading Gulliver's Travels.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any significance to that?
I don't know. There might be.
You know, is Negan Gulliver, and the rest of them are the Lilliputians, and are they going to try to capture Gulliver and that kind of thing? I mean, literally, I just noticed this. It's popping into my head. There must be some sort of significance to why they put Gulliver's Travels in there. Any of our listeners?
Maybe it is the numbers that they have.
Maybe. So if any of the listeners have any insight into why was Gulliver's Travels very specifically pointed out here, I want to know it. I want to hear some theories. Come on, give it to me, people. Let me hear it. So are we done with the letters?
We are.
All right. Well, this is bringing us very close to the end of the show. However, we do have the announcement to make. We mentioned that this is going to be our final episode as under the Walking Dead cast. However, that is not the final episode of Under the Comic Covers. In fact, we haven't yet started Under the Comic Covers because our first episode as our own entity will be next week. Grace and I have been holding on to this information for a while. I've been teasing it on Facebook. We've been teasing it on Twitter. But we are now going to be a full-fledged podcast, not just dedicated to The Walking Dead, but dedicated to covering independent comics as the ones that we are reading, the ones that we care about. Grace and I, we spend far too much time in our actual personal lives talking about these comics. We figured, you know what? We want to do this as the podcast as well. And great thanks to Jason and Karen for allowing us to get our feet wet in terms of setting this up and beginning as a small 15-minute segment, then getting so many emails that we really wanted to start responding to the emails. So we wanted to have our individual episodes that we've been doing, and it's been such a great experience. We've been loving it so much, but we want to talk about some other titles. The Walking Dead is awesome.
We do.
But we have some other ones
But we have a lot to talk about.
We do.
We do. We have a lot of other things to talk about. So this will be fun. I am so excited.
Yeah. So next week, we will be recording March 6th, our first episode as Under the Comic Covers. We have some extra special little things to tell you about. But first, I want to go over the titles that we will be covering. So, and by no coincidence, maybe most of these, actually all of them, I think at this point are Image Comics. So why don't you go ahead and spill the beans on which comics we will be covering?
Okay, well, the first one we'll be covering is Revival. That's one of the ones that we've mentioned in one of the past podcasts, one of our recommendations. So that will be our first one next week. And we'll also be covering Chew, Sex Criminals. What else am I missing?
Saga, of course. Saga. Now with Saga, for those of you who've been following Saga, you may know that right now they're on a 3-month hiatus. They do their 6-issue arcs, and then they take 3 months to get everything together, and then they do another 6 issues. What we are going to do up until that time, the 3 months is over, we're going to cover each volume, the previous 3 volumes, until we get to the live issues as they're released. So there's that coming up. There will be some weeks where we don't have anything on our pull lists that we're necessarily going to be talking about on the show. So we may go over some titles that have just been completed, maybe a series such as Trillium. Once that's over, we may go over that, and that being a Vertigo title. So we're not going to limit ourselves to just Image Comics. If something comes up that piques our interest, look, we're going to talk about it. And if any of you listeners want us to maybe start reading something and covering it, hey, look, we're open to suggestions. We love going over some new titles. I do want to squeeze in Manifest Destiny because I'm loving Manifest Destiny. And Sex Criminals, like you already mentioned it, but I can't wait to talk about that. If you thought menstrual cups were fun, wait till we get into Sex Criminals. That's all I'm saying about that.
It is a
Um,
fun read. It is a fun read.
so this is very exciting for us. We're really looking forward to bringing you some completely new content. Again, this will be a separate entity from the Walking Dead cast. So as of next week, I'm asking you, the listeners, if you want to keep hearing Under the Comic Covers, you're gonna have to go to iTunes. You're gonna have to follow us on Facebook. You're gonna have to follow us on Twitter. You're gonna have to find out where we are, and please find us out there. We're going to make this bigger. We're going to make this better. And as a promise that this is going to be bigger and better, our first episode, which will drop hopefully March 7th or 8th. Go ahead, you spill the beans. Do it.
Well, our first interview is with Charlie Adlard, who is, of course, the artist and illustrator and co-owner of The Walking Dead.
I've got such a shit-eating grin right now. Really, it was. We've already spoken with him. It was a fantastic interview. I cannot wait to share it with you guys. It was so much fun.
He was a fun, easy guy to talk to, and I think it went really well, and I think you guys will enjoy it.
Yeah, so that's going to be our first
that'll
episode.
Be next week.
So we're going to be covering Revival, issue 19, correct?
18, I believe.
18, okay. Revival 18 or 19, and an interview with Charlie Adlard. And it's going to be a whole new experience. We're going to have some fantastic artwork that has been done for us by Kirk Manley. Thank you very much,
you
Kirk.
Can check that out on our Facebook and our new website, and we'll give you all that information in a little bit.
Absolutely. And you're going to hear some music. We'll go ahead and promote the music when we get there. But we are so excited about this. We've been teasing this a little bit for those people who follow either one of us on Facebook or Twitter. And I'm very excited. And I really want to take this moment to give a huge thanks to Jason for allowing us to occupy a small real estate corner of the Walking Dead cast and to grow and to do something more with what has been a phenomenal experience for both Grace and I. We've been loving doing this, and we want to make it bigger. We want to make it better.
We do. Thank you, Jason.
And thank you guys for listening and for sending in all these emails. I mean, that's really what's made all this possible and made it able for us to go, look, this might work, man. I think people really care about this. And there are other titles. You know, we're talking ultimately about a TV show based on a comic, and it's those comics that you know, for those who are the comic readers of the show who are listening to Under the Comic Covers, I really want you to come with us. I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be a lot of fun, and there's a lot of neat things that are going to happen. So there's that.
Okay. There is. Should we tell them about our contest?
Oh my goodness, that's right. So as we mentioned in the interview with David Zapanta, you have the opportunity to win a copy of David Zapanta's novel Posthumous, which again, I got to say, I really like this book. And on top of that, it's a signed copy. He will send it to you. But the rules are as follows. Grace, fill us in on that one. You know this better.
What you need to do is go to our new Facebook page, Under the Comic Covers, and like it. And then like the post that we put up there about David and the contest. And you will be entered, and we will draw the winner on our first episode next week.
Amanda Harvey.
What does it mean to live for the common good? Introducing the Garrison Institute presents The Common Good, the brand new podcast from the Garrison Institute.